last week,
Uh-huh.
and I was working this technology assessment sheet and the groupings and looking more into the quality of life. And I think I had quite a really nice idea of a nice way to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just stick a share screen on so you can see what I'm looking at. So, um, one of the reasons I was doing that technology assessment, like groupings and reading through them, is it's quite useful for us for working out kind of who we can potentially target after you've kind of finished the work that you're doing, and also for kind of our general consultancy. So looking at people who haven't done a really good job of it, or technology assessments that didn't go well because of the quality of life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And while I was going through all of that, what I kind of realized is I don't know, did we send Sabrina the migraine paper?
Yes, we sent to everybody, I think.
I think we sent you so we sent you the migraine paper and the approach that we took with the migraine paper, where it was basically what we did for estimating the quality of life was number of days with symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
And while I was going through these reports, I found this one as well, which was also doing something very similar. I think if we look on here, um, maybe this is the wrong one. This is probably the wrong one. 1 second. This is the one. So I changed the groups a little bit because I didn't have a good group for epilepsy, and I was looking more into the epilepsy one, and they did something very similar with this. So they did um, quality of life scores for patients ranged from zero point 0.2, which is months with 32 consecutive seizures and 4 seizure-free days per month, to 0.92 seizure-free. What I was actually thinking of, that might be that this is probably the way to deal with the comorbidities.
Mm.
So currently, most of the way that it tends to get phrased in terms of the estimating the quality of life is the quality of life if you've got a migraine, or the quality of life if you have heart disease. But actually, what determines the quality of life is the symptoms that you have.
Mm-hmm.
So things like the pain, mobility, mental health aspects, the things that are in that domain. The other problem, which I'm not sure if we've spoken explicitly about and kind of needs to be in your introduction to the model, is the problem with a questionnaire like EQ5D or SF36 or any of these other questionnaires is they really just ask, how are you now?
Mm.
They're a very specific single point in time, and that represents the symptoms and how you are now. Whereas the disease and actual quality adjusted life year should take into account what happens during the year.
Mm.
So it works well for chronic diseases where you are really ill all the time, but poorly for the episodal, and
Mm-hmm.
and you still need some kind of model for the progressive disease anyway.
Mm.
So as it disease progresses, but also so this kind of approach to the model, and basically what I was thinking is this is really how it should be defined. How much time during the year you spend in specific health states with different which are effectively defined by the symptoms that you have.
Yeah.
But that makes comorbidities much easier, because really all you need to do is add symptoms.
Mm.
So if you define it out as number of days in a year spent with a symptom, where each day's quality of life of that day is defined similar to it on a similar approach to this, then actually kind of when it comes to your model, you know, if you have severe pain from one disease, then your severe pain is not going to be that much different if you have another disease that has severe pain. It doesn't change that much.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have something that has mental health aspects but also has mobility, then those add together.
Does it mean like they have to do like multiple questionnaires throughout the years so that they can keep on track of like more current?
So what I was thinking from this, and as I went through the TA, so I finished grouping them all together. And I think those. I have my share thing on here, so if we jump to these guys, as I went through these are the numbers in each of the groups that we ended up with, and I changed slightly some of the. Groups from when I sent them over. So I put neurological in this pain, headaches, migraine. I also put neurological conditions so that the epilepsy drops into this one.
I actually have a question. Sorry, can I just ask a question real quick? Because I tried to look into the file that was in this Excel file, but like almost every page I was trying to look into, it was crashed. So I'm not sure how can I get the file exactly. I tried to use the like the tracing back link, but like you can't really open
which one are we talking about?
Would you mind if I share my screen real quick just
Yeah.
to show you what I encountered? Okay. Can I share this?
Yeah, we should be coming.
Which one was that? Okay. So I tried to, for example, I tried to look in one of this, like the hearing loss one, and like the code was TA166, and can you see if I switch the page? Can you see the website?
I'm still looking at the Excel file at the moment.
Okay, just a minute. Let me see how can I fix it. Can you see this one?
Still the Excel file.
Still in Excel file?
You're probably just sharing selected the Excel file to share rather than. So if you just click on
Sorry, just.
Sounds good.
Can you see the website now?
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Right. What I actually see at the moment is just the top of Chrome.
Okay.
It's not shared. All of it is just like shared the top bar. But if you just share it, so I think I can show you how to. There's two ways to get access to this, but I'll show you the kind of what seems to be working for us. This is the problem with nice website rather than.
How about now?
Now I can see the web page, but not the top. Let me just let me put my share on, and I'll show you what I just come off that. And let me put my share on because I think I know what the problem is that you're seeing with this. So let me just bring this up because I had something very similar. Where is that there? Right. That was TA. Well, we'll do TA 2558. This one. There's that one there. So this. So if can you see that me go into that link there? This nice guidance. Yeah. So if I do that, I get this 403.
Yeah.
Right. So this is some weird thing. Let me just. So you're on Chrome. Chrome. It should be F12 to bring up this window. This guy. Usually I think in Chrome it opens in the bottom, and on that there is this little button here. It will look similar to this. When you click that, it changes it to be a mobile view. And on the mobile view, I've not actually clicked it. Oh, right, so that changes it to be like you're looking at it on a phone.
Yeah.
And from that, it works.
Oh, thank God. I was so nervous. We're gonna try out like maybe like 10 of the page and none of the open. I was like really, really worried.
So I found that there's something wrong with the Nice website. It's been a few days like this. The
Okay.
other way that also works, which you don't need to use this like finding from the developer tool, is there's a site called Wayback Machine.
Yeah, that's the one I tried, but I'm not sure if I'm doing it correctly because it only
So
shows the time.
to do this on Wayback Machine, you just go to the Wayback Machine website. You grab this link. You copy that, paste that into this URL for the Wayback Machine, and then that will give you a list of dates that it's taken. And then just click on generally the blue ones, the time it took a snapshot of that website, and then when you click on this link, after a moment, there we go. It will become the link will look like this web archive with the link on there, and that should, as long as it's not one of the 403 forbiddens, give us the normal one that you can then click on.
Okay.
It uses the web archive one, and that has the committee discussion papers in it. But the Wayback Machine depends on them taking a snapshot of it, so they're having issues with this. Whereas that I don't have Chrome on this, but I say I think it's F12 on your computer, F12 on your keyboard will pop it up, and then it's in this. Come back. It's in the one that opens. You have like these listed here. These are like the different things for the page, and in that top right is this like little device toolbar that toggles it between being a desktop and a mobile. So it actually works on the phone from the phone view. It just doesn't work from the desktop one. So they've got something wrong with the web.
But for the
I will.
Sorry.
Go on.
Like the Wayback Machine because I tried to use that one earlier, but like. I also got to the page you are loading at. It gave me like a link, but I'm not sure if that's the link I should open because I tried to open and I'm not sure if like I have to.
So the Wayback Machine will depend on if they took the snapshot, and you need to. They only take it on like certain days or when they're actually doing their kind of collection from it. Whereas this one is actually using the Nice website. The Nice website basically does work from your phone. It doesn't work on the desktop.
Okay. But sorry, just a quick question. Like if I want to try to download a file from this view, is it possible to do that or?
Yeah. So the download and the rest of it works from these. So you can just click on the open, and then you can save it from there.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was one of the other ones I wanted to have a quick chat. So what I was saying is I will, when I get back, do what I can to get the copies of all. I want to do this Publication Ocean kind of parsing of statements in the these committee papers. So I will try and download as much of the committee papers from there as I can. But this is how, and this committee papers is how I found this impact quality of life one, because that's what's open on here. It's let me just find the AUVIN. It's in their references. So one of the things I was thinking of is this process for joining them. So you can, from here, now that this is on, for example, select this and filter it to, I've clicked on the wrong one. Let me just move this Zoom stuff out of the way. You can, for example, on this, I was saying, I think, so where's the, uncheck the oncology one, and that will then give just the ones that are not oncology. The reason I say don't look specifically at oncology is quality of life in oncology is generally done very well, and it's very specific to the treatment and disease.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas these others that are things like the mental health or the epilepsy, it's very specific to the first. It's pretty much all of these TAs will be probably the first time they kind of run into them. The other thing I was looking at from this, and just to quickly go through these groupings, because I think there's a few things that I think are quite important from this. So things like these skin disorders, these guys. So the skin disorders, vision loss, hearing loss, mobility, mental health.
Mm-hmm.
I think quality of life in those TAs is going to be very good for what we were talking about in terms of assessing the symptoms. But it's also slightly more complicated than that, because when you run into things like diabetes, for example, so the thing with diabetes is, as a disease, it doesn't really have much the main symptoms, the main kind of impact on quality of life of diabetes is the diagnosis itself. So the fact that you have to start taking drugs and the mental health and managing diet and things like that. So there's an impact of quality of life from the diabetes. But the main impact on quality of life is the downstream diseases and organ failures that then cause severe symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
So I would also, as much as we were talking about this like chronic versus progressive, so I think, and actually that probably breaks down quite nicely into this episodal chronic versus progressive degenerative. Because if it's episodal, then your number of then you are very simply in the episodal, and chronic is probably very much a number of days in a month with symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the progressive will generally need some kind of model for the disease for how the number of days in the month with symptoms change over time. And as you get into that, we'll give you some additional training for there'll probably be Markov models. We'll give you some training on what that looks like. But you may actually find that in these technology assessments described quite nicely anyway.
Okay.
In fact, I'm sure you will. So I think that's a really nice way of dealing with this kind of like comorbidity sides, if they're joined into things, and so if there's symptoms by severity, days in the year that you define the quality of life impact, you can map those quite nicely into the qualities that are defined by EQ5D, for example, and that will also make combining comorbidities much more sensible, because you can it's rather than combining diseases, you can combine the symptoms associated with the disease.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
I think I have a question, like, if that's the idea, how can I just, while collecting data, is there, sorry, what's the question?
I think I would say while you're collecting data, also focus on the symptoms as much as anything else.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons I broke them down into these groups. So these ones all of these that have, so if you run into a symptom, and the thing with these is, these technology assessments that are in here, these technology assessments should be brilliant sources for the quality of life for within that group and within that disease.
Mm-hmm.
There will be references like this AUVIN in there that gives you where the numbers they came from for their quality of life.
Mm-hmm.
So this one that we have on this like impact of seizure frequency on quality of life, this gives us really quite straight away a direct, if you are full time, if you are spending pretty much the entire month with having a seizure at least once a day,
Mm-hmm.
almost once a day you're 0.2. If you're seizure free, then you're 0.92. This gives you a very nice disutility of a seizure day.
Yeah.
So you can do a disutility of a seizure day. This is some kind of weird Lennox-Gastaut syndrome, Davert syndrome. They also have similar ones for like epilepsy, which I think is this an epilepsy? Yes. So they have like treatment-resistant epilepsy.
Mm-hmm.
So they have it within this paper that kind of number for seizure-related. This we also did the migraine very similar to this. So we have that migraine paper that we sent you that kind of also went into it, pulled the references for migraine, which is on a very similar, this migraine pain, like symptom within a day. I think things like that mental health one will also fit very nicely in that. So suddenly you can do a really good job of mental health, just looking at symptoms of disease, of number of days spent with depression in a month. And there should be studies on that as well.
Mm-hmm. Like one question I have right now is I understand like my text was like going through that, like the goal I'm setting for myself is like going through the Excel file that was in it, and then just to collecting like summarize all the utility and like the quality of life aspect data we need. But I'm not sure like do we just need to looking through all the papers that was on it, because
I wouldn't say you need to look into all of the papers. Really, what you want to do is nice coverage for, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to get all the way through it. So is nice coverage for these
technology,
for these. So you don't know things like to get an understanding of it, and I'd also tie this back into what we were looking to for the GBD. So because I think GBD was like back pain, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was like the main one. So you have sort of you have within there 26 technology assessments that have looked at kind of like this pain, migraine, neurological conditions.
Mm-hmm.
So I would expect that to give you a really good picture of what that group looks like.
Mm-hmm.
You can then so that paper that I just had open will be in there in terms of that 0.2, 0.9.
Mm-hmm.
And what I would say is the main thing to take from this specifically is really, I think what I would say is a day with this really kind of the strength of your model can come from a day spent, the quality of life impact of a day spent with the symptom. And then what I will also say with that is we also have a table we can send you for adverse events. So that's actually one of the way the adverse events are done is they do if you have an adverse event with a medication, they do a disutility associated with the adverse event. We already collected together a table for those adverse events. So things like, and that actually includes things like what was it? Neuralgia, I think was one of them. Neuralgia, anemia. We already have good disutilities basically associated with a adverse event period associated with medications. So there's numbers for those as well.
Okay.
And those are referenced up. So we have this is the anemia disutility. This is the disutility associated with a period with anemia, and then if you within your model bring that, and then for the big diseases you look at, say these are the symptoms associated with the disease and the number of days you spend with those symptoms depending on the stage or how the disease is categorized, and then you have a really, really powerful quality of life model that solves a lot of these problems. Particularly, I was very happy. There's one of that was where I was like, we need to talk to Sabrina, because that actually goes a long way to solving this mental health one.
Yeah. That's what I thought.
Whereas previously, we didn't really have a solution of how we bring that in. But to bring that in, there's good estimates for levels of mental health problems. If that's done on days with mental health, then we have a very, very nice quantification for how that improves.
Okay. Understand.
So hard. So that's the easier stuff. Hard ones, things like this: youth, pregnancy, reproductive health. That's actually potential. I would say that's actually one of the not necessarily solved by this. So things like, for example, one of the ones that's in that reproductive health is like uterus-related issues. So there's no real symptoms associated with that, and the main outcome of solving it or not is does the woman remain fertile? Which obviously, which I would say isn't particularly easy to quantify in this kind of numbers, but I haven't looked into the technology assessments for that, so maybe they already have good ideas for that.
Okay.
Let's have a look at that actually. Reproductive TA. Well, I think disappeared. Select on. Pregnancy. And I don't know how to spell uterus. How do you spell uterus, anybody? Uterine fibroids. Let's go back and do a later one. It's here. This is TA996. Is that recommended? That's even optimized. So TA996. That one on the page doesn't work. Taking its time. Six. There we go. So that's how they did it. Let's have a look and see what they've... UFSQOL. So they did some mapping. What's this? So they did something very similar, where they've taken basically a 37 actual symptoms of the symptom severity. So they just did it that way. Blanked out the numbers, but there's probably there you go. So that's how they do their health state utility values for that. So even that one's actually covered. And there's there's publications in there for those values as well. And these will be at the end, so it's like 9. So, oops, didn't copy. So that's where they've taken them from.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, even those are going to come up with, but that's the way they've done them. I think there's possibly some kind of discussion around whether that's encompasses entirely kind of the outcomes that are needed. But if that's the way it's been done before, then at least you've got kind of numbers that you can use to quantify those are the symptoms that you see and those are the outcomes.
Okay.
I hope that helps a lot.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think it does.
Definitely.
Great. So I say I'd go through the. I think probably the first thing I would say to do from that, rather than just completely killing yourself going through publications and things one by one, is to kind of really lay out what the symptoms are that you need to address, and how we're going to define and how it's to define the quality of life associated with the severity of those symptoms.
Okay.
And maybe get some references, maybe get some reference lists together of references that'll inform the numbers for those. So it doesn't need to be fully comprehensive for each one, at least not at this point, to get the model to get the model to get some of the numbers. Because the thing with the model, the main thing for the model is to get the structure flexible enough that you can consider lots of different outcomes and give good answers, and then one more publication that says the number is slightly different than it was before is just around all of the uncertainty and stuff which you can kind of come to together at the end. But to really define kind of these are kind of the key diseases, these are the symptoms associated with these diseases, these are the symptoms to consider for quality of life impact. These are the kind of numbers associated with these symptoms, and then from the comorbidity, you can look at, okay, well, what happens if... So there was... this was one of the ones I did find that was also, I think, probably a good technology assessment to look at. Maybe that in the way. Where's my Excel gone? I think it was... This thing is so annoying. Wish it would hide itself. Select all. Oncology. Oops. One of these, I think it might have been one of the diabetes one. What it was. That was... doesn't it? This was one of them. That was one of them. So these atherothrombotic events. It isn't the one I was talking. It isn't the one that. No more left. Try diabetes then. What are you doing? Why are you just beeping at me? There's some good substance abuse ones on there as well. I've not seen those before, so I'm not familiar with them, but be quite interested to see. One of these was like an actual comorbidities one. So it was like you have diabetes and something else. I think it might have been like kidney failure. This is going to take forever. Let's try renal. Is it renal or renal? Renal. It's going to be really slow. Okay. Let's jump all the way back to the flow at the beginning. Done. Human. I should have highlighted it, you know. Cool. I'm going to give up in a second. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to find it. There's too many. There. So this one that's in there, they put in the thing where you have this kind of like cardiovascular events, cardiovascular disease, and overweight and obesity. So this kind of like 3 cluster one. I think that technology assessment's probably got some quite interesting ones and how they all coordinate with each other, how they all relate to each other. That's TA 1152. So there is a couple of them like that where the actual technology assessment is in a patient group with comorbidities. I wonder if there's a co or All the one that mentions comorbidities are where's the at one weight related comorbidities. So those metabolic conditions, diet ones, seem to have quite a lot of tying into the comorbidities. So they're probably a good one to look at too. Any other that's kind of what I found over the weekend and what I did with these. I'll send you this latest Excel file now.
Okay.
Groups in. I also put for the groups. I also did a sum of how many of each of them we've got. And there's also a third one on there that lets us. One of the ones I was really interested on this, which I think is something else, is this curve is how many of the HTAs were not submitted. So one of the things I noticed when I started getting into these later ones, these are NICE wanted to do them, but the company didn't put any effort into making a submission.
Oh.
So that massively increased from 2019. So that isn't even a COVID. That's basically, it's not a COVID. I wouldn't. Maybe it's a Brexit thing. I'm not sure. But that's a massive increase from like pretty much everyone they did was just, these are terminated because of non-submission. There was 3 or 4 of them every year up until like 2018, and then suddenly it speaks up to nearly the 20s, 15, 20 years. And that's out of like 100. It's like 25% of them. Anyway. So I'll send you this. If you have any other kind of questions, I think maybe just ping us on Discord and we'll put some stuff together for you.
Okay.
And if you've got anything else,
I have like an idea for like how I analyzing the data. I was wondering, would you prefer like I do it as like my thought right now is like each like cluster, like the disease group, I would do like Excel file to like put all the utility and like all the like stuff that
that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
And if you try and keep them to a standard format, you can also read them straight out from R. Then if they're in like if they're organised the same way and like so that the same things are in like the same place in the Excel sheet, then it makes it easy to read those. You can read those in from R, and we can talk through from that.
Okay.
And what I will say for that on R is try and avoid merging cells if you want to read stuff from R. So basically just have straight tables like this. Don't try and do like a row with some extra headings or merge columns in. That makes reading them from R really difficult.
Okay, got it.
So just straight row, header, column, simple tables. You can have blank cells and things in them, but don't try and merge cells or do different things on the rows. If you want to put like 2 tables, use 2 different sheets.
Okay. That's what I thought. So like I thought like maybe each disease I should like open like a sheet for that.
Yeah, I would start with just putting it all into into one sheet at the beginning, just so we can have to look at it, and then that will, because otherwise, what tends to happen if you try and do it all nice and organised at the beginning, is you will still run into this, but you will inevitably run into something that means you have to change it, and suddenly you have to change it for all of them, and that can be a complete nightmare. Whereas if you just get everything kind of as much into kind of one place, one sheet, like this is what you think this will be, and then that will make it easier later on to kind of do everything consistently for each of them.
Okay.
You'll save yourself, not having to redesign your tables will save you an awful lot of time.
Okay.
Great. Okay. Tanya, anything to?
I think we discussed that yesterday, what you present to Sabrina, so
excited.
Yeah, very excited. How you feel, Sabrina?
Sorry, I can't really hear it clearly. Sorry.
She asked, how are you feeling?
better. I think it's like much more clear
With your
step.
work, I mean. With your work, because it's challenging. I'm
Yeah.
just asking
Yeah.
how you feel.
I think I was just a little worried about like the amount of data that need to be go through. I'm just a little worried about the timing if I can finish within the time. Yeah, I think that's the main worry I have for now. Yeah.
No worries, please, because we all will help you.
We'll come in and help to do it, and there is basically the approach from this will be where we need this is what for to get as much of the data you can by the end of this month will put you in will mean you won't have any problems. There will probably be things in there. So the way that you deal with the things you couldn't do because you didn't have enough time is you just write them as limitations.
Mm-hmm.
So you do as much as you can within the time and set the time. So we'll kind of we'll very kind of strict in terms of the don't do many more on this now, but to at least get the kind of I think this gives you the place to actually get get data that you can use and do something.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really kind of nice big milestone to kind of reach that point where you can really start to solve this problem that we were talking about at the beginning of how do you deal with the comorbidities.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think that puts it in a nice stage, and then it doesn't have to be absolutely everything and completely perfect from the beginning. Anything that you run out of time for is you just write up as the limitations of these are the things we thought about and would have been nice to do, but there wasn't enough time within the project to do.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Have a lovely good afternoon, and we'll catch up later.
We catch up. Do you have some news from Yushu?
Not really. I haven't. I don't think so. I didn't hear much about her.
Yeah. Okay. I will contact her because she was not last week on this call, so we want to get up with her.
Do one of these with her. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good luck.
For the
Have fun.
update.
Good afternoon. Bye.
Have a good day. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.